So, growing up and still being a Christian to this day, there were a lot of Bible stories that I was taught very early on. One of the main ones being the story of Queen Esther in the Bible, and what a beautiful story it was. And if any of you were raised Christian, you probably have seen a movie called One Night with the King at least once. Beautiful story, great actors. However, not exactly how it happened. If you actually do any kind of digging into the story of Esther, you'll gather that Esther was much, much younger than the actress that they had portray her in that movie. The actress in the movie, I would say, was give or take in her early to mid-20s. If only it were that way for the real Queen Esther. The real Queen Esther was still a virgin, and back in that day, you were only a virgin until you got married. And you got married as soon as possible after puberty started. So if she wasn't yet married, it would stand to reason she was still not even quite puberty age yet. So at that given time, that would have put her at around 13 years old when she was kidnapped from her home and taken to live with a king that she didn't know from Adam, and prepare by taking beauty treatments for 12 months, taught what the king liked and how to please him in order to become his new bride. And then she had her one night with the king, which was essentially the king sleeping with each one of those hundreds of virgins that they gathered for him, and then deciding whether or not he was going to keep her as his main piece or his side piece, along with the other hundreds of side pieces in his harem. That was the story of Queen Esther that was not portrayed to me growing up until much, much later. Just an interesting little piece of food for thought. Get a very different story depending on who's telling it. Also think it's really funny that the book of Esther wasn't even written by Esther herself. It was written by a man. I genuinely wonder what the story of Esther would have come to be if Esther had had a chance to use her own voice and pen the story for herself. If we would have gotten her side of what that one night with the king was really like, what her life with him was really like, and I'm not saying it was miserable. She could have grown to have an amicable relationship and marriage with him. We don't know, because her voice was never allowed to be heard.